Yes, folks, I do have hair. But it's massive bed head right now, as you can see. So we're going to pop this on. Hey, He-Man, Masters of the Universe. It looks like we have our He-Man. Oh boy. It's a fucking shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. Mood and atmosphere. No, it's fucking garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. In this video, I want to talk about the casting news for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. We finally have it confirmed of who our He-Man, I guess, is going to be. And listen, about a month or so ago, it was rumored that an actor by the name of Noah Centineo, am I saying that right? Sorry if I'm butchering it, was at least in talks, or the rumors were that he was going to be cast as our new He-Man. And everybody sort of looked at him and thought, okay, including myself. I thought, okay. And because, you know, he's a good looking kid, 22 years old, but he's nowhere near the size of what you would expect He-Man to be. He would have to put on some serious muscle in between now and the time that they start to go to camera. So then we started to speculate, well, maybe it's a matter of semantics, right? He's not cast as He-Man, he's cast as Prince Adam. Because for those of you that don't know, Prince Adam was He-Man's alter ego. It's like Superman and Clark Kent, right? In the 1980s cartoon, which I was a huge fan of growing up as a young boy through the 1980s, in that cartoon, Prince Adam was just as huge as He-Man, and the only difference really was that he wore a different outfit and maybe had a little bit of a voice like this. Hey man, what's going on? Obviously, he was putting that on to fool everybody that it wasn't really He-Man. It's kind of like, you know, the Superman thing, right? Where it's like, hi, I'm Superman.
I'm somebody completely different now.
Want to go out for dinner? You know, it was that kind of thing in the 1980s cartoon. And of course, many, you know, in retrospect, we look back at the cartoon and we think to ourselves, well, there's a lot of cheesy things in there. And in no way, even though I'm a big fan of that cartoon and there's a lot of things I like about it, I agree that I don't think everything should be lifted into a live action adaptation. And one of those things is probably having Prince Adam just as gigantic as He-Man and look exactly like He-Man. Yeah, you probably want to kind of alter that a bit to make it a little more believable. So we kind of thought, okay, well, maybe this kid is being cast as Prince Adam. Oh, okay. Well, no. Not according to the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon the other night, where Jimmy Fallon asked him point blank, so I hear that you're going to be the new He-Man. Are you the new He-Man? What's going on here? You know, and he was like, yes, I am. I'm going to be the new He-Man. And of course, you know, the audience is, woo, oh yes, that's so great. Oh my God, yeah. Now, a little bit of a side note, for those of you that don't know, 99.9% of the time, and I only say 99.9 because I like to leave a little bit of wiggle room, because sometimes shit happens. The questions that are asked on these talk shows are questions that have already been agreed upon. It's not the organic, off-the-cuff conversation you think it is. Now, that doesn't mean the kibitzing back and forth in between isn't organic and they don't feed off each other or play off each other, but guests always know what they're about to be asked because too much is at stake in terms of marketing and multi-million-dollar productions and PR and all that kind of shit that they don't want any sort of things being leaked or being said or out there in the pop culture consciousness that they don't want out there. And it doesn't matter if it has to do with the movie or their personal lives or whatever it is. So the questions are always agreed upon prior. And then of course it's up to the host and the guest job to make it look like, oh, I just came out here and we just said, I had no idea what you were going to ask me. We're just having a conversation. You can ask me anything. Go ahead. No, that's not how it works. So, you know, Noah knew he was going to be asked this and it was probably agreed upon by Sony, by his publicist, by everybody involved that, yeah, you go on the Tonight Show with Fallon, it's popular, and that's where you can officially announce that you're going to be He-Man. And that's what he did, but it's his job to make it look like, oh, well, yes, I am. Anyway, a little bit of movie magic destroyed for you. Sorry about that. But so that's what he said. He was like, yes, I'm going to be. And now we're all kind of like, but dude, you look nothing like He-Man in terms of size. Now, when you look at his face, here's a picture of him, 22 years old. And when you look at his face, you certainly can see the resemblance to the 1980s cartoon He-Man. And I would not be surprised if that was a factor when casting this kid. And it's not like he's, out of shape or anything like that. I mean, here he is doing, an underwear ad and obviously he's in shape, but he's the kind of shape where it's like, because he's 22 and he's got still that boyish look about him. I mean, there's a lot of he there, but not a lot of man, if you know what I mean. And, you can totally see him opening the door in a towel after just getting out of the shower in some teen drama. I mean, that's the kind of shape and look he has, not necessarily the testosterone-filled manly presence of a gigantic He-Man. And I don't think he's got the time between now and when they go to camera to bulk up to where I think you need a He-Man to be. And I think he's far too young. I mean, 22 years old. I mean, geez, he's like still a boy, unless they are going to go that contrast route between Prince Adam and He-Man. But unfortunately for me, I just don't see He-Man here. Listen, He-Man is somebody who has presence, who has size, who has testosterone. He is like the poster child archetype of the kind of character that he was supposed to be. And this kid, I just don't see it. Prince Adam, sure. But, and I know there are some people that have, suggested, well, what about Chris Hemsworth? Listen, just because Chris Hemsworth is Thor doesn't mean that he can be He-Man. Chris Hemsworth is, yes, he's got the blonde hair, and yes, he's bigger than this kid. But Chris Hemsworth is nowhere near the size of what you need for a He-Man. And with all due respect, Chris Hemsworth is too identified with Thor. Now, that doesn't mean that one actor cannot play two iconic characters. Look at Harrison Ford with Indiana Jones and Han Solo. But those are two very different characters in two very different worlds. Whereas Thor and He-Man, there's too many similarities in terms of size and power and presence and worlds and the visual spectacle and the villains, and it's just too similar to me. And then some people might say, well, what about The Rock? What about Dwayne Johnson? Okay, yes, he has the size, and yes, he has the charisma. I mean, that should be your benchmark minimum in terms of size. But he's so saturated right now, and he doesn't really look like He-Man. And personally, I think you should go with somebody who's relatively unknown, who doesn't have gigantic star power, so that we can get lost in the character and not necessarily in the guy playing that character. But here's an example of the size and look that I'm talking about. Here's a bodybuilder by the name of Mike O'Hearn, I think it is. Now, I'm not suggesting that you cast him as He-Man, okay? I'm talking about the look, the visual look of what we expect from a He-Man. Look at this guy. That is He-Man. That is not a boy. That is not somebody you see in a teen drama opening the door in their towel and going, oops, oh, hi, Jennifer, sorry, let me put on some clothes. No, this is what you would expect from somebody in that kind of role, right? Here's another shot of him. Yes, that's He-Man. Imagine the plate, the armor on his chest, right? Holding that sword. That's the kind of presence that you expect, and the look as well, the jaw and how the jaw is defined. And I'm not saying you go out and cast this guy. He's a bodybuilder. He's not an actor. But you need to do your due diligence and find somebody that has this kind of a look with a presence and some acting chops, because you don't just cast based on look, because look what happened with the 1987 Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren. Lundgren had the look, but he had the fucking personality and charisma of an egg. So, I mean, he just, oh my God, I have the power. Oh, jeez. Dolph, I love you, but Jesus. And he's since become a better actor since that time, but certainly you don't want to say, make the same mistake. But certainly that's what I'm talking about. You compare this kind of look with Hemsworth, and then you compare Hemsworth with what we're potentially getting, and it's like, oh my God, wait, whoa, hang on a second here. I just, maybe he's going to pack on a bit more muscle. Maybe they're thinking long term, like, well, maybe, it's an origin story and, he's this kind of a guy at first. And, we find out that, we're planning long term because we want this to be a series and he's going to grow into the character and maybe he'll grow into the size. But that's a lot of like speculation. That's a lot of what ifs, based purely on whether this movie's going to do well or not. I mean, if this movie doesn't do well, or if it does okay, well, then it's irrelevant. Now you have a He-Man movie with a lot of he, but not a lot of man. And it's kind of like, no, dude, go balls to the wall right away. Have him, be this kind of a guy. And I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it with this Noah Centineo or whatever, Tenio or whatever his name is. And no offense to the actor. I'm sure he's a fine actor and a good kid. But I don't see He-Man here at all. And something else you have to remember as well, folks, is that everybody else in the movie has got to be at least this size as well. In terms of the proportion, Skeletor has got to look kind of like this, right? Trapjaw and like everybody's got to be able to compete in this world. So not only does this have to be your minimum in terms of what He-Man should look like and the presence he should have, but Skeletor's got to be that size as well. I think Skeletor should be a bit bigger. He should be like 6'7", but Skeletor has to have that presence. Trapjaw has to have that presence. Beastman has to have that presence. And even the good guys, right? Ram Man, Stratos, Buzz-Off, they all have to have that kind of presence. It's a different world that you are sending us to. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts, folks. Maybe it all comes down to story and execution, but just at face value, you show me this picture and you're like, he's our He-Man. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're on or what you're talking about. Get out. Because sorry, kid. Maybe if you want to do a spin-off series next to Supergirl and call it He-Boy, knock yourself out. But this is not what I expect from a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe character. However, Noah, if you're listening, if you're watching, you're probably not, but if you are, prove me wrong, man. Prove everybody wrong. I hope you knock it out of the fucking park because I'm pulling for it. I'm a big He-Man fan, so I'm definitely rooting for you and the production and the crew and the cast. I got to admit, my confidence level is low, but I am genuinely pulling for you. So that's how I see it, guys. Anyways, comment below and let me know your thoughts. I would love to know. My name's Dave McRae. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. That's where I tend to post in the meantime and in between time, and I'm not posting here. All the links are in the description. Everything to my Facebook, my Twitter, my IMDb, it's all down there. Check it out. I always forget what's down there. Check it out if you want. If not, that's okay too. So yeah, presents, guys, presents. Prince Adam, cool. Totally cool with that. Get it, because he's younger, got a bit of but you want that. That would actually be kind of cool that Prince Adam, maybe he is going to be Prince Adam. Because if you think about it, he's got that young boyish look as Prince Adam. But when he transitions into He-Man, he's got a man look, right? He's the man, he's the He-Man. And if you cast somebody different to be He-Man, that contrast would actually be quite nice. But that's not what we're getting so far in terms of information. So I don't know. Anyways, I'm not crazy on it yet. Comment below and let me know. I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.